Okay, everyone, so we have another video from Swaghaga. This one called 5 Underrated Naruto Characters. This one should be very interesting. Now, before we get to the video, guys, as always, please consider hitting the subscribe button. We are this close to 1,000, so I really hope that if you're watching this video or if you watch my videos and if you enjoy them and if you're not subscribed, please consider hitting the subscribe button and make sure to hit the bell to be notified whenever I post a new video, and let me know in the comment section your thoughts on what we watch in this video, and make sure to check the description for links to this video as well as Swag's channel, so you can head on over there, subscribe to his channel, watch his videos, support him in any way you can. With all of that out of the way, let's go ahead and watch this video of the 5 underrated Naruto characters in Swaghage's opinion.
Yo, how's it going, everybody? Swagkage here, and welcome to today's video. There's not much for me to say to preface it. The subject is pretty self-explanatory. It's about Naruto characters that I like, that I wish everybody else liked just a little bit more, but a few things I want to get out of the way before we start. The list isn't in any particular order, so I'm not going to be counting down from 5 up to 1 or anything like that. And obviously, there are going to be some of you who disagree with the choices for this list, who think certain characters would have fitted better. That's fine. I don't think I speak for everybody here, but I've wanted to make a video like this for a long time, because especially in the case of some of the characters on this list, I've never really received any opportunities to talk about why I like them at length, because nobody really gives a shit about them, and they weren't ever relevant to any of the video topics I had before. But today, I'm gonna have myself a bunch of fun talking about all of these relatively obscure characters that nobody's ever paid much attention to, and maybe hopefully changing a few.
I would say Kimimaro is one of them. Kimimaro, in my opinion, is very underrated.
So without further ado, let's just get started. The first character I want to talk about is Gosu, this mummy-looking guy.
Really? Oh, well, actually, yeah, I would say he's a very underrated character.
His whole team, I don't think they were done justice at all. Orochimaru used 2 of them as sacrifices for the Edo Tensei, and then Dosu just got fucking murdered by
He
Gaara.
got pretty much off-screened by Gaara.
It was a big shame, because I liked Dosu. He was one of my favorite characters, even when I was just a little kid. I always liked this guy. And when he got paired up with Shikamaru in the Chunin exams, I was geeked, because Shikamaru was another one of my favorite characters. I wanted to see these two go at it. Dosu struck me as a very clever fighter, somebody who was incredibly meticulous, who knew when to back off, knew when to approach, and he had a really cool power in the form of his sound attacks. His fight against Rock Lee was really cool. He just sort of went to town on him, and at the time that was pretty crazy, because we had just seen Lee.
Yeah, we just saw him completely destroy Sasuke.
Then here comes Dosu treating him like a total bitch. But the problem is, that's the only time you really get to see him fight. He did have another fight against Choji in the Chunin exam preliminary rounds, but that wasn't much of a fight.
It was kind of a joke fight.
Dosu one-shotting Choji, then walking away. Then, before he could even make it to the final rounds, Gaara killed him basically off-screen. In the end, he and the rest of the Sound Ninja practically amounted to nothing more than jobbers for Sasuke to show off his curse mark power, and that's, like I said, a really big shame. Dosu was easily one of the coolest characters we've ever gotten to see, and it really sucks because I never catch anyone talking about this guy.
So I just want to talk about what he just said for a second about how, you know, Dosu and the rest of the Sound 3 were basically used as jobbers for Sasuke. It's true, and it is unfortunate, because we do see this happen a lot with stories where you've got characters who, you know, that you really like, but unfortunately they're just used to prop up other characters. And for me personally, while I do understand it, I don't necessarily like it. I don't like this thing where in stories we you know, we see characters who feel like they're literally just there to prop up the other characters. Yeah, so yeah, they are technically jobbers, because that's what they are. They're just there to job to other characters and to just make them look good. And if you, by the way, if you don't know what the term jobber means, it's a wrestling term, basically. It's basically, what it means is you're only there to make the other wrestler look good. So for example, they'll hire a wrestler just to make someone like, let's say, Hulk Hogan look good, or to make someone like Triple H look good, or The Undertaker, or Ric Flair, or Shawn Michaels. Or let's use a more recent example. You've got Roman Reigns, you've got Seth Rollins. You're literally just there, or Bobby Lashley, I guess. You're literally just there to make them look good. Your job isn't to win, or, you know, to show off your skills, although that may happen if you perform well in the ring, but you're literally just there to make them look good. And that also happens in stories, you know, like, again, the Sound 3, for example, literally just there to, I guess, make Sasuke look good with his curse mark. And that's, I understand if other people may not have as much of a problem with that, but for me, it's something that I kind of wish that stories wouldn't do. I really do wish that writers would kind of stop using characters or introducing characters who are literally just there to make other characters look good. Again, that's just me. I understand if other people are not the same, but for me, I don't like it, and I especially don't like it when those characters are ones that actually have their fans who really like them and kind of wish we could see more of them. But yeah, that's not the role that you're there to play in the story, which I guess kind of sucks because you could do so much more with them. But instead, you relegate them to just these nothing characters where they're just there to make the other characters look good. And in my opinion, it kind of makes the character that you're propping up just look bad. You know, like, oh, congratulations, you look good because the other one was just made to look bad. Great. Yeah, that's gonna make people like the character.
Sucks because I never catch anyone talking about this guy. For numero dos, we have good old Grandma Tsunade, somebody who isn't quite as obscure as Dosu, but definitely a character that doesn't receive as much praise as I feel she deserves. Seriously, dude, Tsunade's cool as fuck, okay? And it really hurts
I know a lot of people rag on her
because the other two Sonics
I guess they see her as kind of a failure as a Hokage, but
significantly more screen time as well as significantly more to do than she is. But let me tell you why Tsunade is so awesome, because I used to think she was pretty lame. As a matter of fact, I used to actively dislike her. I couldn't tell you why now, because every time I see her either on panel or on screen, she's doing something really cool. But the point is, I'm very aware that there are people
look
out
at this. She took out Manda, basically.
all that great. So to begin my thesis about why she's so cool, let's take a look at when she was introduced. Now this was back during Part 1, and it's pretty widely accepted throughout the community that Part 1 has a much grittier, darker tone than Shippuden.
It does.
Overall, and that you could really tell Kishimoto was aiming for something cynical and grounded. Tsunade was practically the embodiment of
and
this
then Part 2 basically just became more of a typical battle shonen, which I understand if people like that. I do, but I don't know. I guess there was just something about Naruto Part 1 that just made people really like it, and it just felt different than some of the typical shonen we're so used to seeing. But yeah, that's, in my opinion, that's the problem with Part 2, and even of course it extends to the Boruto era, which is that it feels like it fell into the more just more typical shonen tropes, and not, like, in my opinion, not even close to being the quality of Naruto Part 1. It's just, I know there's people out there who are apparently deluded enough that they think that Boruto is actually even better than Part 1 Naruto, which, no, like, not even fucking close. Literally not even close. Hell, Naruto wasn't even better than Naruto Part 1. So yeah, no. It's not as good as Naruto Part 1, not even close, sorry.
To our main character for one reason or another, with the three strongest examples up to this point being Haku, Sasuke, and Gaara. And to a certain extent, anyway, Tsunade's another example of one. She sort of existed as a living reality check for Naruto. While he was young, naive, and idealistic, she was old, experienced, and very jaded. She took pleasure in nothing but vices and was bitter through and through because she'd been stripped of every source of hope and optimism that she'd ever had over the course of her life. And it was just this neat, fresh perspective that the audience hadn't yet seen before. Then after she met Naruto, she went through this really touching character arc where she slowly learned to trust people more, to be more positive, and to just be a better person in general. One of my favorite scenes in the entire manga is when she choke slams these two leaf elders into the wall of the Hokage office for not having enough faith in Naruto, just as a sort of display of how much this kid means to her. Now, I know a lot of people are going to respond to me saying that Tsunade is really cool by pointing out that she got slapped around by Kabuto, and that she, like, considered killing fucking Jiraiya. And these, more so the second one, are valid criticisms of her. You're allowed to dislike
They are, yeah.
For a reason if you want. But I think that both of those...
I will say, yeah, that does kind of bring her down for me a bit.
Over time, even more satisfying to watch. Then, of course, she's also just a fucking badass. Like, look at this panel right here where she threatens to kill Orochimaru. It looks so sick. She also put,
especially with the art from Part 1, was just...
Madara. And the fact that she's the best medical ninja, like, on the planet gives her extra cool points as well. The third character I want to talk about is the Iruka. And don't click off the video yet. I know nobody really cares about Iruka. Hear me out, please. Really, my love for Iruka just sort of boils down to, yeah, he's a pretty chill dude, and that's all there really is to it. But for those of you who want me to say more, I mean, he's just this crucial part of Naruto's life and his character growth. And now this is just a personal thing with me. I don't know if like anybody else is the same way, but just seeing this guy, you know, Iruka, acting as a father figure for this little kid who really doesn't have anybody that he can rely on or trust, it just warms my heart, because whether you're just starting the series or you've gotten all the way to the end, you know that Naruto deserves somebody like this. And the way he practically bent over backwards for the
he is pretty crucial in Naruto's development. It is true.
First chapter of the manga. I mean,
I know people like to rag on Iruka, but
now, I know that this guy has next to no screen time. As a matter of fact, I'm sure he has less screen time than everyone else on this list, Gosu included. And all he ever like really does is take a shuriken to the back. Then you don't see him again all that much, like ever.
Yeah.
But all of my points still stand.
It does kind of suck,
Iruka.
but
I think that the series would be a little bit weaker if he wasn't a part of it, and I just think that everybody should appreciate him a little bit more than they do. Next in line, we have the ultimate trap himself, Haku, who has one of the coolest jutsu in the whole series, one of the coolest designs in the whole series, but I am still a bit confused.
Haku, well, the thing about Haku is I don't know if I would say he's underrated. I mean, I think a lot of people love Haku as a character, but I guess maybe when it comes to being underrated, I guess maybe in terms of power, people kind of underestimate him. If that's the case, then yeah, I can kind of understand. But if in terms of, if you're talking about like how many people like the character, I think a lot of people like Haku. Haku is a pretty damn good character, and I think a lot of fans of the Naruto series do like him. Anyway, although I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. Let me know in the comments. Like, are you someone who liked Haku, or well, not like, but still like Haku, or are you someone who was kind of indifferent to this character, like you didn't really care either way?
Decided to go the whole I'm gonna make him look like a really pretty girl even though he's a dude route. Like, it's not like he even identifies as a girl. He just flat out says I'm a dude.
Yeah, he flat out says, yeah, I'm a guy.
Kishimoto made him as effeminate as possible, and he's like self-aware of this.
Well, here's the thing. I don't know if this is true, but I do remember hearing this. So let me know in the comments if you know whether this is true or not. But I think the reason for this as to why like he looks so, you know, effeminate is that originally Kishimoto designed Haku to be a girl. Originally Haku was supposed to be a girl, and I think it was his editor who said that, you know, maybe it's better if you change it to a boy because people will kind of look at the relationship between him and Zabuza, or I guess her and Zabuza originally, as being a little bit weird. Although I don't know why Haku being a boy would have made it any less weird. But yeah, from what if that's true, apparently that's the reason, is because Kishimoto originally intended Haku to be a girl, and he just changed Haku to a boy. Again, I don't know if that's true, but that's the story that I heard, and I guess it's kind of on me for not really looking into whether or not that's true. You know what, maybe I will after the video, but if you know, let me know in the comments whether that story is true or not, or if like Kishimoto was just trolling the audience by, you know, drawing this like really pretty girl and then only to be hit over the head with the yeah, I'm a guy, just so you know.
Because Naruto comments that Haku is prettier than Sakura, so you know, I don't know. I guess it's just funny. Regardless, Haku is a pretty unique character. Not to say that he's like one of a kind and there's nobody else like him in all of fiction, but I think this idea of a kid who worships somebody just because they saved them from a shittier life and views themselves as nothing more than a tool for the person in question, it's just cool. I was actually gonna put Kimimaro on this list alongside Haku, but then I realized that they're practically the same character, and since Haku did it first, he gets the privilege of being included instead of Kimimaro. But honorable mentions to Mr. Bone Man. Kimimaro is awesome.
I feel like him definitely is underrated.
It doesn't really make any sense. But anyway, this isn't about Kimimaro, it's about Haku. Like I said, his philosophy of owing his life and practically everything he is and has ever achieved to Zabuza is really special, and I think it's always made him a really standout character for me. Not to mention, he's just got a really sick fighting style. He can weave seals with just one of his hands. The crystal ice mirrors are fucking crazy. Zabuza claims that he's stronger than fucking Kakashi is. And Ice Release is, without a shadow of a doubt, the coolest nature transformation there is. Even putting all that aside, Haku ended up, maybe indirectly, I guess, bringing Zabuza to tears. So no matter what, you've got to at least appreciate him for being capable of doing that.
It is a shame that we never got to see more of Ice Release, because I do agree it is a pretty cool ability, and it does suck that we never got to see it being used more. I really do kind of wish that like maybe well, actually, I was gonna say that I kind of wish that maybe Kishimoto wouldn't have made it so that the Sharingan can't copy Kekkei Genkai, but like, yeah, maybe that's not really a good idea, because it would have made it would make anyone with a Sharingan incredibly broken, even more broken than they already are, because if you can copy Kekkei Genkai, that would make you even more ridiculously broken than you already were, because like some Kekkei Genkai abilities are pretty insane. Like, imagine you could copy the Byakugan, and now, especially in the Boruto era, if the Sharingan could copy Kekkei Genkai, then Sasuke would have been able to copy Ishiki's Dojutsu, which would have really made him incredibly broken. So yeah, probably a good thing that he made it so that he can't copy like any bloodline abilities. So not necessarily just Dojutsu, but yeah, I guess it just does kind of suck. Although in one of the novels, Sasuke does use an ability that's at least similar to Ice Release, even though he admits that it's not as powerful, but it is pretty similar. And in that story, he literally freezes an ocean. Like, that is crazy. Like, again, I hate that in the novels we see these cool like feats, but we don't see them in the actual anime or in the manga. And I never understood why that's the case. I never understood why we can't see it visually instead of having it be described to us in a book. Whatever, it is what it is.
I don't want to start sounding redundant, but I mean, really,
but yeah, this was
is really cool. I like the way he speaks.
This was a really cool moment, one of the best moments in the series, in my opinion.
He speaks, the way he fights, all of his abilities, his backstory.
I also like his character design. The mask especially is pretty damn cool.
And he's also the centerpiece of a scene that I really like, where Kakashi is about to kill Zabuza with the Raikiri, and Haku's standing still at Naruto's mercy, and just as Naruto gets the resolve to finally kill him, he whooshes over in between Kakashi and Zabuza in the nick of time just to save his master's life. Haku's just responsible for a whole bunch of really cool, really emotional shit in early Naruto. And I know that a lot of people like him quite a bit, but I don't think he gets as much recognition as he deserves. Finally, the last entry on the list is the man puppet, human puppet, puppet man, whatever, Sorcery of the Red Sand. Probably my favorite member of the Akatsuki, at least next to everybody's favorites, Itachi, Obito, and Pain. But still, Sorcery's fucking awesome, okay? A lot of people don't pay much attention to him because, one, he quote-unquote lost to Sakura. 2, he's a puppet master, and Kankuro kind of sucks, so puppet masters don't really have the best rap. Then 3, he's a self-contained character that's introduced in the same arc as he dies in, so he's not really given a whole lot to do. But I don't care about any of that. Sorcery's the man, and let me explain why. All of my reasons for liking Sorcery are more or less centered around the cool factor I think he has. I just think that the guy is awesome. Turned himself into a puppet, turned the third Kazekage into a puppet after he murdered him, is capable of controlling up to 100 puppets at once, can administer lethal poisons with ease that have basically no known cures, has a sick design, has an equally awesome voice and overall attitude. I mean, the guy is just really fucking cool. And so many people give him shit for losing to Sakura, but like, look, dude, he didn't lose to Sakura.
No.
He lost to the team of Sakura and Chiyo. Chiyo knew everything about him. Both of them came with an antidote created specifically to counter his poisons. Chiyo was in possession of the 10 strongest puppets ever created. Sorcery didn't really take the battle all too seriously until the very end. And of course, finally, it's heavily implied that he let himself die. It's not flat out stated that he like gave up.
Yeah, and a lot of people, because I said this before, is that people forget that in the Naruto universe, one thing that really helps you in a fight, and I'm sure it's not just in the Naruto universe, but one thing that really helps you is having prior knowledge of your opponent's abilities. And I really believe that if Chiyo wasn't there, Sakura would have died. she definitely would have died. And also, again, Sorcery not taking the fight seriously, and yeah, the fact that he basically let himself get killed in the end is the people tend to forget about that and just say, "Oh, you lost to Sakura, that makes you lame." Like, no, like there's a lot of things that went into that fight, which people, I guess, are just being willfully ignorant because I guess they just like to rag on him because they don't like Sakura and they think, "Oh, if you lost to Sakura, then you must be lame." But it's whatever. You're always gonna have those people in fandoms who just completely ignore context.
Take the battle all too seriously until the very, very end. And of course, finally, it's heavily implied that he let himself die. It's not flat out stated that he, like, gave up or anything, but Chio says that he didn't really try as hard as he could have to avoid the final attack that they threw at him. So the idea that Sakura beat him in a one-on-one fight is very, very misinformed.
It's
Plus,
wrong.
I mean, Sakura's not that bad. She's pretty tough, so even if he did lose to her,
Yeah, and it's not really a knock against her, but
ultimate L one could receive. Really, my reasons for liking Sorcery are just super subjective. Either you agree that he gives off this cool vibe or you don't. I don't think there's much I can say to change your mind about him. Anyway, I'm pretty sure that wraps up the list. I believe I've said everything that I have to say about all the characters here. Now, I am curious to know what characters you guys think are underrated. As always, leave your responses in the comments below. If you're new here, consider subscribing to get updates when I post new videos. But above all else, just make sure you have a great rest of the day. Till my next video, talk to you later. Swaikage out. Bye.
Okay, so that is the video. Now, look, I do agree with him. A lot of these characters are underrated, except for Haku. I wouldn't necessarily say that Haku is underrated. I think Haku is really liked among a lot of the Naruto fandom because a lot of Naruto fans do heavily praise the Land of Waves arc, and I think Haku and the relationship between Haku and Zabuza is definitely one of them. And just those two characters in general, they are really, really liked among a lot of the Naruto fans. So I wouldn't necessarily say that Haku is underrated, but I do agree a lot of the characters, Sorcery, let's see, you got Sorcery, Iruka, I guess that's debatable. He is underrated, but yeah, Zabuza, Tsunade, let's see, where is it? Just Tsunade, but yeah, the Dosu, these are very, very underrated characters, and you know what? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Do you agree that these characters are underrated? Do you agree with me that Haku isn't necessarily underrated? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below, and let me know the 5 characters in your opinion who are underrated, not including any of the characters we saw in this video, but in your opinion, 5 characters in the Naruto series that are underrated. And you can include like Boruto era characters, because why not? Why, if you want to include them, who in your opinion is very underrated? And with that being said, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. As always, remember to hit the like button, share this video, and also please consider subscribing to this channel in order to help me get to 1,000. Like I said, guys, we are very, very close to 1,000. I want to thank everyone who did subscribe to my channel. Thank you so much. I really appreciate your support. I really do hope that you'll continue to support me in the future. With all that out of the way, bye for now.